Fog presses down like a heavy blanket, and you strain to see what's ahead. It's March 27th, 1977, and two Boeing 747s are converging on a single runway in the Canary Islands. KLM Flight 4805 carries 248 passengers and crew. Pan Am Flight 1736, diverted from Las Palmas, has 396 on board. Together, 644 souls find themselves stranded at Los Rodeos Airport on Tenerife, a small airfield not built for giants of this size. By nightfall, only 61 will survive. The chain of events begins not with tragedy but with inconvenience. That morning, a terrorist bombing at Gran Canaria Airport forces dozens of incoming flights to divert. Los Rodeos, with one main runway and a cramped parking apron, becomes overwhelmed. Taxiways jam, jetliners idle, and passengers wait nervously in the terminal. Among them are vacationers bound for sunshine, families with children, and seasoned crews already fatigued by delays. Captain Jacob Veldhuizen van Zanten, leading KLM 4805, is more than just a pilot. He is KLM's chief flight instructor, the face of their safety campaigns, a man revered across aviation. Yet even he is restless. His duty hours are ticking away, and the looming threat of duty time restrictions means the flight must leave soon, or risk being grounded overnight. On Pan Am 1736, Captain Victor Grubbs and his crew are equally anxious. Their jumbo jet sits at the far end of the taxiway, blocked in by other aircraft. With fuel burning and passengers growing restless, they too long for takeoff. Overhead, a thick fog begins to drift in, cloaking the airport in a gray shroud. The runway lights glow faintly through the mist, but visibility drops by the minute. Two aircraft, two sets of pressures, and one overworked air traffic controller in a tiny tower. Everything depends on timing, words, and clarity. On this island, at this moment, the world's worst aviation nightmare is quietly taking shape. Engines hum low, vibrating through the cabin walls, a steady reminder of time slipping away. At Los Rodeos, minutes become precious currency. The fog thickens, curling across the tarmac like smoke. From the control tower, the single controller struggles to juggle an impossible workload. Ground traffic, takeoff clearances, and radio interference from aircraft stacked on the apron. Static crackles, voices overlap, and clarity is slipping. KLM 4805 is cleared to taxi down the only available runway, then to make a 180-degree turn for departure. Behind them, Pan Am 1736 must do the same, but first needs to exit via one of the narrow taxiway turnoffs. Yet these exits are poorly marked, with sharp angles not suited for massive 747s. Inside the Pan Am cockpit, Captain Grubbs and First Officer Robert Bragg squint through the fog. They creep forward, headlights cutting weak cones of light, searching for the third exit they've been instructed to take. "Is this it?" Bragg mutters, leaning forward. "No, not yet," Grubbs replies. Doubt lingers, visibility dropping to barely 300 feet. Back in the KLM, Captain Van Zanten pushes his crew to prepare for immediate departure. Passengers have already been told they'll refuel before leaving, an added delay. Now the tanks are full, the plane is heavier, and time is pressing harder. His first officer, Klaus Muers, radios for clearance. The tower responds with instructions, but the words mix with overlapping transmissions. "Stand by for takeoff, I will call you," the controller tries to clarify, but to Van Zanten's ears, stressed and eager, the phrase sounds dangerously close to permission. This is the moment subtle warning bells begin to chime. Confusion about exits, mixed radio signals and urgency colliding with exhaustion. Yet no one stops to reset the pace. The fog swallows the runway whole, and two colossal machines inch toward the same strip of asphalt, unaware they are converging on disaster. The fog presses thicker now, muting every sense. Inside the KLM cockpit, Captain Van Zanten grips the throttles. His voice is firm. "We go." But First Officer Muirs hesitates, repeating the tower's last words. "Stand by for takeoff." Doubt flickers, yet Van Zanten is resolute. He is the authority, the seasoned instructor. Flight engineer Willem Schroeder interjects cautiously. "Is he not clear, that Pan American?" The captain answers curtly, "Oh yes." The engines surge and the aircraft begins to roll. On Pan Am 1736, the mood is tense but not panicked. Captain Grubbs and First Officer Bragg peer desperately into the fog. They know KLM is somewhere ahead and the tower's instructions were vague. The crew debates whether they have passed the third taxiway. "I think we missed it," Bragg says, scanning the barely visible markers. They continue straight, still on the runway. Radio chatter crackles with confusion. The tower calls, "KLM 4805, you are cleared for takeoff. After departure, climb to and maintain flight level 90. At that very moment, Pan Am transmits, "And we're still taxiing down the runway." Both voices overlap, distorting into a garbled mess. The critical warning that two jets share the same asphalt dissolves into static. In the Pan Am cabin, passengers murmur, oblivious to the danger. Some peer through windows into the white void, while others shuffle in their seats, unaware they are taxiing head-on into another accelerating jumbo jet. In KLM's cabin, vacationers relax after hours of delay, thinking they'll finally be on their way. Every word in those cockpits now carries the weight of hundreds of lives. Miscommunication, authority pressure, and human hesitation weave together like threads of a tragic tapestry. Each decision feels small at the moment, but together they form a countdown none of the passengers can hear. The fog hides not just the other aircraft, but the truth. They are seconds away from meeting on the same runway. The roar of four engines thunders through the mist as KLM 4805 surges forward. Van Zanten pulls the throttles to takeoff power, the giant jet accelerating down the slick runway. Passengers feel the surge in their chests, believing this is the long-awaited departure. But ahead, unseen through the dense fog, Pan Am 1736 is still taxiing, its lights swallowed by the gray void. Inside Pan Am's cockpit, First Officer Bragg suddenly spots an eerie glow. Landing lights cutting through fog, bearing down on them. "There he is!" he shouts. Captain Grubbs slams the throttles forward, desperate to clear the runway. The massive jet lurches right, straining toward the grassy edge. In the KLM cockpit, Schroeder cries out, "Oh God!" Van Zanten yanks the yoke, hauling the nose skyward in a desperate attempt to leapfrog the obstacle ahead. For a fleeting second, the KLM's nose lifts, wheels leaving the asphalt. But the fully loaded aircraft is too heavy, too slow, and too late. The underside of its fuselage rips across Pan Am's upper deck, shearing metal like paper. The KLM's engines tear through the Pan Am cabin, slicing seats, passengers, and steel before the jet slams back onto the runway. Fire erupts instantly, a wall of flame engulfing the wreckage. Screams echo inside Pan Am as the fuselage splits apart. Smoke pours into the cabin, heat blistering the walls. Yet miraculously, some passengers stumble toward the shattered fuselage, crawling through twisted metal into the night air. From KLM, there are no survivors. The impact and explosion consume all 248 on board. The runway is transformed into an inferno. Sirens wail, emergency crews race into choking fog, blinded by flames and smoke. In less than 30 seconds, 583 souls are gone, victims of a perfect storm of miscommunication, urgency, and human error. The flames claw at the sky, a grotesque beacon in the fog. Rescue crews rush blindly into the chaos, headlights scattering shadows across wreckage that stretches like broken bones along the runway. From the KLM, there is only silence. No one survives the fireball. But on Pan Am 1736, pockets of life stir in the darkness. Passengers stumble from the torn fuselage, faces blackened with soot, clothing scorched. Some leap from ruptured sections of the upper deck, others crawl through jagged gaps torn open by the collision. Out of 396 on board, only 61 make it out alive. Among them are Captain Grubbs and First Officer Bragg, dazed but alive, watching helplessly as their aircraft burns with friends and colleagues still trapped inside. Survivor Dorothy Kelly later recalls the suffocating smoke and desperate crawl toward the light, describing it as a nightmare you couldn't wake from. In the days that follow, investigators pick through the charred debris, piecing together what went wrong. The final verdict points not to a single mistake, but to a chain. Misheard instructions, overlapping radio calls, fatigue, authority bias in KLM's cockpit, and the deadly blanket of fog. The tragedy forces aviation to change forever. Standardized phraseology is introduced. Pilots can no longer say vague words like "okay" or "we're at takeoff." Instead, crystal clear terms become mandatory. Cockpit culture shifts too, encouraging first officers and engineers to challenge captains without fear of reprisal. Standing at Los Rodeos today, renamed Tenerife North, you would never guess the ground once bore the scars of aviation's darkest hour. But the lessons linger in every clearance, every cockpit briefing, every cautious pause before a takeoff roll. Because March 27, 1977, showed the world that words, just words, can kill hundreds. And in their silence afterward, aviation was forced to listen. And while you're recovering from the shock, I invite you to discover how a Malaysia Airlines flight was shot down by a military missile, killing 239 passengers and the entire crew. Click here now. See you there.